Here's how this goes. Bunch of white dudes at TNT are sitting around. And they're like, hey, there might be a African, well, I don't know what she is, female, whatever she is, president. Why don't we get ahead of the game and hire Jemele Hill to do a show? Everybody laughed, chuckled, went to their bourbon, sat around, and they went through 1,000 other ideas. And then what happened was they're like drunk, and they said, screw it. The first idea is always the best idea. Let's hire Jemele Hill. We're going to put her on our TV. What? The world went, huh? Half the world went, who? The other half went, why? Well, Charles Barkley was among those that went, why? In an effort to promote Jemele Hill. Yeah, I said it. Jemele Hill's new show. Can you believe that? In an effort to promote this bad boy, as the NBA started yesterday and the last season of Inside the NBA with Charles, Kenny, Shaq, and Ernie began, they decided it was a good idea to bring the old racist one, the old right-hander. Hey, we need something racist. Let's bring in Jemele Hill. Yeah, that sounds good. Well, they brought her out there, and during the segment Tuesday on the show that literally, and I mean literally, nobody asked for, featuring the insufferable Jemele Hill, Charles Barkley et al. Had no trouble telling it like it is. She destroyed Hill right to her face with a simple statement on Inside the NBA. A very simple statement. Girl, you get fired a lot. Now, let me explain this to you. Barkley, underneath, doesn't like her. I can tell by saying that statement. However, he's also welcoming her to the show. He's saying, hey, you're one of us now. And if you're going to be one of us now, we're going to get on that ass. Not physically. Nobody wants that. I'm talking about giving it to her. Giving her the business, as they say in NFL referee pardon. Barkley welcomed her, and a lot of people are thinking this is Barkley making fun of her. It is, but it's more welcoming her because if you watch Shaq, Charles, Ernie, and, of course, Kenny, you know that they're not afraid to give it. The old razzmatazz, as they said on 2.5 Men, which, by the way, is every day becoming a metaphor for life. I digress. Whatever happened to Jemele Hill frequently comes up as the deranged sports writer jumps from job to job, having to land an increasingly woker outlets that'll tolerate her ramblings about minorities being oppressed and all the other platitudes that keep the light on at places like The Atlantic. The Atlantic, what a place. What a place that place has shown itself to be. Is there any bigger spot for more disinformation recently than The Atlantic? I mean, they're trying so hard. I bet apparently it's owned by a friend of, wait for it, Giselle Maxwell, friend of, confidant of, hooker lady of, the deceased Jeffrey Epstein. See, I've said this before and I'll say this again. Donald Trump has not drained the swamp, but Donald Trump has exposed the swamp. So now The Atlantic, which employ, I guess, Jemele Hill, they're the ones saying Trump is Hitler. Trump helped, well, whatever. I'm not even going to give it credence. So after leaving ESPN, the worldwide leader in woke, that's pretty funny right there by OutKick, Hill called out the network for being too conservative, which is like calling President Trump too liberal. She did. I would hope that 99.99999, if not 100% of the world, is too conservative as it relates to Jemele Hill. But grifting, well, grifting pays. When you are a grifter and you say, hey, I'll talk about race for money, I know it's not there, but I'll make it up. Now you have become the Reverend Al Sharpton. Remember the Reverend Al Sharpton and the great Jesse Jackson? We have a cause here in St. Louis. It's a civil rights movement that's serious. Hey, let's get Al Sharpton. They would call him up. Reportedly, Sharpton would want $35,000 to show. Of course, he didn't pay tax on it. Of course, well, The U.S. government, for some reason, is afraid of Al Sharpton, and when last seen, he was hosting town halls, staying at the Four Seasons, smoking $50 cigars, and drinking $100 a glass cognac. God bless America. But he's oppressed. Of course he is. The Reverend Al Sharpton, well, he's bucked the system, but he's getting old. So who's going to step in there? Oh, here comes Jemele Hill. Wait a second. I'm here. Let me do it. The world needs a woman grifter. And Jemele Hill fits the bill perfectly. You got to admit, takes some chutzpah. But what Jemele Hill really does is sit in a dark room, probably typing out racial platitudes and watching everybody get scared. Why are you scared of Jemele Hill? She went to Michigan State, for crying out loud. Means she can barely read and write. Jemele Hill said the conservative culture at ESPN just couldn't handle her realness. Yeah. She famously was given a 2-week suspension by the network for bad-mouthing Jerry Jones after he told his players to stand for the flag. She did what every person does. She ripped Trump. Hill hates America. She still can't seem to grasp why people won't give her the time of day, just like the Bomani Joneses of the world. See, I've always said this. I met Hill once. She's very nice. I told her, hey, I like your stuff. Lied through my teeth. I'm sitting there. What are you going to do? It's at a cafeteria. I'm making coffee, and I really don't want to have the conversation. I did like Michael Smith, though. Michael Smith was a running mate on the 6, the hip, absolutely god-awful sports center that led to the demise and the reconstruction of ESPN. But I will say this. They're going to give Hill's show every opportunity. See, unlike CNN that put Charles Barkley and Gayle King's show somewhere in the streaming world and having to compete against the likes of us, which you couldn't do because we're too powerful, they're going to do, they being TNT, they're going to do everything they possibly can to make Jemele Hill's show work. They're going to put her on all of the shows. The most popular, of course, being this. Wait for it. You know where you're going to see Jemele Hill? Can't believe this is going to happen, but you know it is. March Madness. Remember, folks, March Madness is not only on CNN or CBS, it's on TNT. When's the last time you watched True Network and you didn't see those rascals that are always playing pranks on people? Those clever kids. Impractical jokers. It's on every minute of every day on True. Last time you watched True TV was when the NCAA was playing back in March. Well, guess what? On the set is going to be Candace Parker, who famously left her husband, Sheldon Williams, to do whatever lesbians do with one another in the sack. She's like a hero, Candace Parker. Where's Rex Chapman when you need him? They tried to prop up Rex Chapman, who showed up on set. And I don't know if he was drunk, high, stoned, or all three. And it might be two. I don't know. 2 might be 1. And he failed miserably, but they gave him a show. One of my producer ladies left our show, got hired by CNN to do it. 2 weeks later, out of work. They're going to make sure as best they can that Jemele Hill's show works. But kudos to Charles Barkley for 2 things. 1, saying what we all think. Damn, that woman again? I thought she got fired from everything she was doing. And 2, bringing Jemele Hill into the fold. Look, in the world of athletes, in the world of African-American athletes, particularly smart athletes, Charles Barkley knows by criticizing somebody, by making fun of them, that brings them into the brotherhood. It does. Smart. A lot of people are reading it the wrong way. Not double D, but that's what I'm here for. I'm here to set y'all straight. Get ready for it. If you're watching hoops, you're going to see a lot of Jemele Hill. No one's going to watch your show. I mean, why would you? Why? I'll give you the show. White guy, bad. Government, oppressed black guy. Kaepernick would be leading a team to the Super Bowl. There you go. That's the whole show. Simple. Hey, speaking of race-baiting grifters, Stephen A. Smith. What? He talks the pros and cons of sports media and how it's handled across social media, saying you better adapt or you get left behind. All right, here's the deal. People so much want to be like sports guys. They want to be like coaches. Did you see the video of Stephen A. Smith walking into the basketball game to open the NBA season? Stephen A. Smith couldn't play dead. He couldn't play at Winston-Salem. Now, at the time, Winston-Salem had a really good coach, Clarence Gaines, legend. But damn, if you couldn't play at Winston-Salem, I don't know that anybody's really going to believe you strutting into, I don't know, Madison Square Garden in a pink suit, looking like a tough guy. When last we saw Stephen A. Smith shoot a jump shot, he fell down. However, they're always trying to act like they're actually involved in the games. Adapt, coaches say. Krzyzewski was the best ever at it. Krzyzewski went from a disciplined Bob Knight disciple to, hey, fellas, play hard on defense. I'll let you take any shot you want. And, oh, by the way, to get recruits, we're going to move your families here, set you up with a money manager, and things are going to be good. Nobody adapted better than Krzyzewski. But sports guys, sports media guys are always trying to equate themselves to actual players or coaches. And this is the latest. You got to adapt. Really? What do you got to adapt? It's about paying attention to the world and how it's shifting and making sure you don't get lost in the shuffle. Just the same way it was at the turn of the century where people had faded from the newspaper industry and they went the route of .com. They went the route of talk radio, obviously television. He's pretty true there. And then the advent of podcasting came into the fold, and that sort of eased our radio to some degree. People found that podcasting was more beneficial. He's not wrong about that. He's not. But radio is still pretty good, actually. You know, you get in your car, you turn the radio on, there's something comforting about hearing the local sports guy rip or praise your local team, i.e. me. But I will say this, Smith is not wrong. When I had a decision to make to leave ESPN, I understood the market. It's pretty smart of me, actually, looking back on it. I understood that ESPN did not have the Big Ten anymore, and I was seen as the Big Ten guy. I also understood that being a middle-aged white guy was not going to get it done at that network. I also understood that I got a new boss, the hair flipper, named Michael Schiffman. He kept flipping his hair. I didn't like him. He didn't like me. So when Clay came with an offer, explained what it was, I'm in. Risky move, but the best move I've ever made professionally. And I've made a lot of bad moves. But Smith is right. You know what? Being a radio guy is great, but combining it with TV or combining it with podcasting and combining it with streaming is even greater. Smith is absolutely right. I think that everyone has to pay attention to what's happening in the industry, how streaming is really, really taking over. Even for a guy like me, I digress. My wife will sit there and go, what are you laughing at? And I'll send her a video. When I work out, it used to be playlists, right? You turn on Spotify or your playlist or whatever and you work out. Every day after the show, I go 2 miles over here. All right? Anymore, I have a decision. Do I go to my playlist or do I go to videos? I don't know. It's about 50-50 right now, but it was 100-0 a few short months ago. Smith ain't wrong. No, I think everyone has to pay attention to what's happening in the industry, how streaming is really, really taking over. You see Apple, you see Amazon, you see the league rights deals with the NFL and the NBA, where they also made sure to do a deal with Amazon. The NFL is doing a deal with Netflix, Christmas Day games. The message has been said. There's a transition that's taken place. You better adapt or you will be left behind. He's right. He's absolutely right. Now, here's the deal. See, ESPN has adapted. As much as people want to complain about ESPN, I think their ratings for these shows are pretty good. I do. A lot of people, many people say, I'll never watch ESPN except for games. And I truly don't. Like, I used to watch the betting show because I really liked Doug Kazarian, who started the show. I thought he was a naturally easy guy to watch on TV. Well, Doug, being a middle-aged white guy, got the boot for some guy, I don't know, Middle Eastern guy and a guy that looks kind of gay and a woman. It was a natural progression. It really was. So I don't even watch that show anymore. But a lot of people must. A lot of people do. When I have my show on here, I don't even turn on ESPN. Used to, SportsCenter, But yesterday I saw some guy named Smith, who I really liked when he was hosting Behind the Lines or Between the Lines or whatever. And now he seems like a Tim Waltz kind of, is he gay, is he not kind of guy, and some cackling big blonde girl that didn't know her ass from third base. So I turned it off. Simple. That is always the thing you can do now. You can turn off your TV and you can still get a ton of sports. That's interesting. Smith is not wrong. In fact, this time he's absolutely right. But seeing him saunter in to an NBA game like he's coming there to do something other than to go in the locker room, look at someone's pee-pee, ask a question, or get an autograph, it's kind of funny, you got to admit. Beef! We got beef! And it's big beef. Oh, yeah. Crazy ass against crazy ass. America's crazy. Draymond Green is going after America's racist. Kendrick Perkins, who, by the way, congratulations to the big stupid. He just got himself a contract extension. NBA bad boy Draymond Green blasted the big racist and the big stupid Kendrick Perkins after Perkins said it's time for Clippers star Kawhi Leonard to retire from the NBA. Now, I got to tell you, the NBA has become unwatchable. I watched it for 2 minutes last night, and between the players not caring even on opening day or not even playing, see Joel Embiid on opening day, to the players being buddy-buddy, I got to tell you, this is like one big scam. That's what the NBA has become. It's like one big scam. We're going to scam you out of money, the owners, and we're all in on it, the players. I'm kind of digging it. To hear Perk say, hey, Kawhi needs to retire, he needs to consider retiring, I thought that was crazy. Because Perk, his last years in the NBA, no one was pushing him into retirement, and everybody probably should have. The man averaged 2.5 points per game for 3 years straight, and no one was pushing you to retire. Yeah, well, here's the reason. Nobody cared. The NBA has always seen the fat big man at the end of the bench late in his career doing nothing. Did you know that Shaq actually played on the Celtics? When Shaq played on the Celtics, his belly was far, far, far out farther than his chest. When Shaq played for the Celtics and he took a shower, guessing he couldn't see the big fella down below, standing up. He's a big fat guy. NBA is full of big fat guys and weirdness at the end of the bench. Here in Indy, we got a guy named James Johnson, who's the baddest man in the NBA. Of all the people in the NBA you do not want to F with, James Johnson is the guy. He's like a triple black judo, karate, whatever belt in everything. But he's kind of on the team to make sure that everybody listens to Carlisle and that no one messes with his guys. Think that guy Haslam. Haslam, for years, maybe he still is. Hell, his name, his jersey is in the rafters for being the same guy. There's weird business at the end of NBA benches, and Perkins filled that role. As to Kawhi Leonard, why should Kawhi Leonard retire? Kawhi Leonard doesn't play. He's always hurt. But you know what Kawhi Leonard does? Kawhi Leonard gets paid. It's one of the great jobs in America, the NBA. You don't have to play, even to start the season. Back to Embiid. Embiid just decided, and the Sixers, Nick Nurse had to go along with it. Yeah, I'm fat. I'm ridiculous. So I'm not going to play the first week of the season. The NBA is now investigating. Can you imagine that? Hey, yo, I can't come on here because I'm fat and I don't want to talk for the first week. I know this job is 5 days a week, 52 weeks out of the year, but I don't want to do it for the first few weeks. I'll get back to you, but you still got to pay me. That's what Embiid's doing. The NBA's investigating, and rightfully so. I'm telling you, man, the NBA is nuts. And if you want to really find out about it, just watch for a minute. Just pay attention. Pre-game, post-game, pay attention. Remember Cap? We all remember Cap. Cap money, Cap Nike, Cap, well, coach? No. Player? No. Cap, Colin Kaepernick, well, he still thinks he can play in the NFL. That's good. Hey, I still think I can eat a whole pizza, and I probably can. He was asked whether or not he's watched much of the NFL these last, 8 years or however long it's been. Man, it's been a long, long time, and we're still talking about Cap. I wonder if Cap goes through the airport with one of the, his big hair, his beard. He's very recognizable. I wonder if people, flock to him. That's what you don't understand. See, people become stars in their own world. Cap walks in an airport, women are around, dudes are around. Hey, Cap. Hey, So while we all think Cap is just, people around him think Cap is great. I haven't watched the game in 8 years, Cap said. All right. I still check everyone's stats. It also informs who my agent reaches out to, but I still check the stats. I see what's going on. I'll never turn a game on, though, because I'm not going to support in that way. But I need to keep my finger on the pulse of what's happening with quarterbacks out there. So here's what you got to understand. The guy will never get a job. Because if Kaepernick gets a job, and maybe he doesn't have to, maybe he's made enough money, invested enough money, extorted enough money, Nike'd enough money, that he can live how he wants to for the rest of his life. And if so, good for him. But if he ever gets a job, he cannot be a martyr. If he becomes the assistant quality control quarterback coach at the San Francisco 49ers or with Jim Harbaugh's Los Angeles Chargers, he's not a martyr anymore. Right now, Kaepernick's a martyr. Oh, man, kicked out of the league for his beliefs. Blackballed from the league for his beliefs. Everybody should stand up like Kaepernick stood up by kneeling. Now, that's what it is, and maybe that's true. Maybe, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is he can't get a real job. If he gets a real job, he's not a martyr. And if he's not a martyr, he can't get that green, yo. Can't get that green. And if you can't get that green, you can't be Cap. Now, maybe that documentary, I've said this about Kaepernick. I wanted to see what Kaepernick was about. I watched 2 minutes of his documentary, heard him talk. I'm a voicist. I am. I'm a known voicist. I couldn't do it. Kaepernick said at the same event he still trains and has an interest in representing the United States in the flag football competition of the 2028 Olympics. I'll let that hang for a second. You read that right. Colin Kaepernick wants to represent the United States, the place that still has slavery, the place that's so oppressed, after protesting and complaining about how terrible it is. The irony and lack of self-awareness are off the charts. Well, people are going to say that's a great example of the United States of America's freedom of speech. Maybe, I suppose. Well, it seems like there's a lot of freedom of speech for anybody that's talking about Donald Trump. I mean, even Dave Ramsey had to say, you can come cancel me if you want, but I own the company. God bless Kaepernick. God bless. Good for him. He's got this whole grift figured out. And people aren't going to criticize him because you're racist if you do. Kaepernick's half white. Shut the hell up. And was raised by white people. Shut the hell up. Jaylen Brown, he of the $60 million, which is astounding to me, confronts Stephen A. Smith over anonymous sources who Stephen A. Smith claims told him that players and coaches across the league don't believe Brown is underrated. Rather, he's just not liked. Brown's really smart. And I can see a really smart guy in those circles just not being liked. I basically wanted to say to them, I think it's cowardice. I think historically unnamed sources have attacked some of our greats. We were not responsible for what they lack and design. Whether they think I'm marketable or not, I walk with God. I'm going to be me and stand by my community in this life and the next, and that's my journalistic integrity. There you go. You can critique someone's performance, but then also if you're attacking their character. They didn't just say I wasn't liked. They said I wasn't marketable, then said I was arrogant. I carried myself with a certain demeanor, and that line gets crossed between critiquing someone's performance, not liking them for whatever reason, and then attacking someone's character. I think journalist integrity requires that it go both ways. I've never had a chance to respond or defend myself. One, because they're never going to reveal themselves too. The damage is already done. So what I'm speaking to is unnamed sources. Well, he's right. He really is. He's right. Once the damage is done, people don't want to hear the response. They really don't. You know, you see a correction in a newspaper, it's literally that big after a headline that big. That's always the analogy that I use. It's always that way. And it's fascinating to me. It really is. It's fascinating to me that guys like Smith or me or anybody can come out, say whatever, get a headline, and maybe it's not true. That's why I'm very careful when I call someone not marketable. That's why I'm very careful and do my research before I say the things that I say on this show. I'll just show up and do a show because, well, frankly, I know that Fox News picks us up. I know MSN, whatever that is, picks us up. I know Essentially Sports picks us up. The Spin picks us up. Barrett Sports Media picks us up. It's almost like every day we get picked up. And I'm glad. I'm happy about it. It's made our show very popular. But I also understand there's a certain obligation there, one that I don't think very many do, particularly in this election time. Oh, baby, we got us a mayor. Remember I said this. Lori Lightfoot was the mayor of Chicago. And I was told by my peeps in Chicago that this guy is worse than Lori Lightfoot. Now, a lot of people didn't think that was possible. But Brandon Johnson has shown himself to not only be worse, he's shown himself to be stupid. And he's shown himself to be angry, mean, nasty, even to people that support him. But mostly stupid. I mean, he's a guy that gets up there. He's got a $5,000 suit while the city dies, while there's homelessness, while there's murder left and right. My immigrant problem that is just crushing the soul of African Americans in Chicago. But this arrogant clown stands up there and demands respect. He's not respected, but he demands it by yelling, by being a jackass. He's making headlines again, and this time it's for, sure sounds rather threatening response to a reporter. Never interrupt me again, he said. Here is our great leader of Chicago.
Close with this. I just find it.
One more question, though.
Just relax, okay? You'll get yours. Don't interrupt me ever again. I find it interesting that.
Don't ever interrupt me ever again. Hey, F you. How about that? How about go F yourself? I mean, honest to God, people get drunk with power. I don't know how this guy got elected. I assume the old-fashioned way in Chicago. But I got to tell you, this guy's been a complete train wreck. This guy has been the worst mayor Chicago has ever had. No, I'm telling you, he has been the worst. Now, that's saying a lot. I mean, this is, Jane Byrne was the mayor. That wasn't great. Washington was the mayor. That wasn't great. I mean, Lori Lightfoot was the mayor. That wasn't great. Chicago is a cesspool from the middle of downtown south, and nobody's doing anything about it except getting rich. This dude's sitting up there with his suit and his tie and his shirt, all probably told about $6,000. And next thing you know, a reporter can't ask him a question. Don't interrupt me again. Hey, how about you kiss my ass? How about that? And then you see how that goes. You know what I mean?